and he tried this methi butter chicken in some restaurant in London, which I've never heard of. And he said, you know what? He told our brand head for Punjab, his name is Deepak Bhatia. He said, I want you to make Rohit Aggarwal try the methi butter chicken today. And he kept following up and saying, I want you to. So our chef, our chef very excitedly has made this methi butter chicken. And some other, another outlet of ours said, we want to do this new biryani. So they're sending a mutton biryani. This other outlet of ours is sending what's it called? The halim. So basically, I'm having, as you, like you're saying, kadai chicken for lunch. I think I'm going to be having a mutton biryani, halim, and butter chicken for lunch.
So hey guys, in today's episode of Passion Project, we're talking to Armaan Aggarwal, the brand manager of YouMee and somebody who plays a lot of different hats at Lite Foods, the parent company. He's seen Lite as well as YouMee go from its infancy all the way to a point where they're doing a lot of deliveries, and they've been able to take COVID as a situation and really revamp their business strategy to become one of the leading companies in India. So we're excited to talk to him today and learn more about how food delivery works in India. So Armaan, thanks for joining our podcast. We're really excited to learn about you and also learn about Lite Foods and how you guys have kind of grown in COVID. So Armaan, the first thing I want to talk about, right, is I want to know a little bit about what it takes to run a food restaurant or like a food delivery outlet in COVID, and what has been that paradigm shift over the last year and a half, 2 years.
So. Firstly, it's a pleasure to be here, Himanshu and Sanjana. I'll get started with introducing how things were prior to COVID. Yeah. So our company, Lite Foods, was a very dine-in dominant company. We didn't really focus that much on delivery. It probably contributed to about 5% of the total revenue of the entire company. So it was something we always wanted to build on, because additional revenue streams are always good, but we were very dependent and reliant on customers walking into malls and walking into our restaurants. Most of our restaurants are in malls, so we were counting on that footfall. When COVID struck us, it was actually out of necessity that we had to, and for all restaurants in the F&B space, that we had to venture out into the delivery space. So it was it was something I feel like if we had focused on earlier, it's something we definitely could have built on. But the fact that we had to do it because of COVID, I wouldn't say it was seamless. Obviously, when you have to change your whole business model, when you have to focus on so many other factors, things like packaging costs come into play. The way your food is delivered, that's all. Packaging, that's a cost that you have to incur. In terms of even having to let go of some people, sadly, because they're all service staff at the restaurant, so they don't really play a role. Some of them, we converted them into delivery riders for us, but otherwise some of them we had to let go of. We had to really hone in, and we had to minimize our menu. There had to be less offerings on our menu. Basically, from an operational perspective, everything completely changes. Yeah. So sorry.
Just on that, right? Like, on a scale of 1 to 10, how prepared were you for something like this? And was it, I think mid-March or something like that, things really kicked into high gear last year. Was it that you guys realized, okay, this is something that is going to change for the next coming year, or was it like a gradual realization? And how prepared were you guys for that?
We weren't necessarily very prepared for it, because the thing is, as I said, we were very reliant on our customers coming to us and us striking bonds with our customers and working on the service experience, working on food presentation at the restaurant, working on the overall restaurant experience. We weren't prepared, but the thing is, we did adapt relatively quickly, in the sense that we knew what we had to do. times were very uncertain last year. The thing is, people were so fearful of COVID that they didn't even want to accept food delivery. In this second wave of COVID, I think that's changed. I don't think people are as fearful of ordering from outside. People are actually more keen to do it. And in fact, during the second wave of COVID, we've managed to bolster our delivery quite a bit. But yes, coming to when this all originally started, see, because most of our restaurants were in malls, and malls were not operational at all, we couldn't open a lot of our outlets. So we had a handful of outlets in high street locations that we managed to open, like YouMee, for example, in GK, Punjab Grill in Connaught Place. That's our flagship brand, and a bunch of others. And we were working with minimum staff, and we made the menus more concise. And we were learning along the way, like in March, our sales were bare minimum. April, it was slowly building. And then, in fact, the interesting thing is we moved all our marketing and all our digital marketing in-house. We, in fact, let go of this other company we were working with. I can't recall the name. But basically, we learned how to learn how to optimize Google ads, Facebook ads, Instagram ads, do like sponsored ads and everything.
Yeah.
And that kind of gave us a learning to push our brand through these channels internally.
Yeah.
So that was something which helped us build our delivery slowly and gradually as well. But yeah, I mean, it was all about communicating that, your food is being prepared in the most hygienic way. Your food is packaged well. All the adequate precautions are being taken place to make sure your food is being made, prepared, and delivered to you in a safe manner. And that's been for everybody. And I think what has been a very distinguishing factor for us is that we've actually gone ahead with doing these things. I'm not going to say that there are other places which maybe haven't taken the adequate precautions, but the thing is, there's been a genuineness in the way we've done it, which is why I think we've built our revenue, and we've actually managed to, I wouldn't say master delivery, but we've definitely come a long way.
So you mentioned like Instagram, and I remember, I think it was last year, I saw YouMee all over my Instagram feed. Like, I think you guys did like deconstructed like ingredients that come to cook yourself. And I think it kind of became like, back in the day when you had all those, the coffee, the whatever it was called. And like one of them was the YouMee kit.
Yeah, so it was something that we called the Chef at Home kit. It was like a DIY kit. It was something that, in fact, one of my friends in New York messaged me about this restaurant that was doing it in New York.
Yeah.
So it was something which was already becoming popular in the United States. So we were thinking about adopting it here as well, because at that time, as I said, people weren't particularly keen about receiving cooked food from a certain restaurant because they weren't exactly trusting of where it was cooked. Does a guy have COVID? Can the delivery guy transmit COVID? Can I get COVID by touching the package? There was a lot of fear. So the DIY box was basically a way to give the ingredients all sealed and then give instructions, and then people could cook their favorite foods. It was a limited menu, but they could cook those items at home. Coming to DIY, it's not something we've continued to do. It's something I think that bred from necessity at that point. But then as customer fear went down, I think they were just like, we want cooked food, please just send us the food, and it's just more convenient. Even, accumulating those boxes, those DIY boxes were pretty big. So just accumulating those also, what do you do with so many boxes after a certain point? But yeah, it was something which was...
So what was, you said your friend told you about the idea. Tell us a little bit about how that reflected into your business. What was the increase in engagement like for you guys? Were you receiving a lot of orders from it? What were the results from this whole activity?
So we were receiving a lot of good press. I'd say that was the number one thing we got from it. Nice. So we were receiving good press. There was customer sentiment was good about this initiative that we took. In terms of sales, yes, there were some people, I'm talking strictly for our YouMee outlet in GK. we were getting about 20, 25 orders for DIY boxes in the, as it was getting more and more popular. And as Sanjana said, it was all over Instagram, and I was sending it to a bunch of friends. They were sending it to their friends. I was just, and everyone was posting about it. It was great.
Yeah.
The most important thing is that they actually enjoyed the process of actually making that food as well, and enjoyed the end product. If they didn't like the product, then none of that actually mattered. But it definitely did increase, it added to our sales, yes. But the main thing was from an optics point of view, that this looked good for our brand. And it looked like we were taking some action towards making customers feel more trusted and more safe, and that.
Yeah.
Nice. And you have a background in marketing and stuff, right? You worked at Your Story. So did you know that when you were taking this initiative, that this is a brand activation that could potentially pop online? Was it that strategic, or was it just something you were trying out a few ideas and you were like, this experiment kind of worked for us?
It was something that I wanted. It is something I wanted a lot of people to see. So I actually made a list of people, like 10, 15 people in Gurgaon, 10, 15 people in certain parts of Delhi. And I was just like, listen, I'm going to send you a very nicely packaged DIY box. The food's going to taste really good. I want you to document your experience actually making the food from these boxes, and then ultimately eating the product and giving me like honest, genuine advice and feedback on how to improve. And people reciprocated. They were actually very, they did it very nicely, in fact.
They liked it. It worked.
Yeah,
friends of friends liked it. Network effect kicked in, and
exactly.
The rest is history.
It was. There was always a plan to basically put the brand out there. That was the main thing, because our deliveries were a little bit slow. But this, we wanted to, by doing this initiative, we wanted to not only increase deliveries, but also just make people feel more confident in us.
Okay, also now kind of changing gears a little bit. You talk to us about like the journey from like when being a content person at Scoop Hoop, then working with Zomato on the editorial team, and then finally coming into Lightbite Foods with or without experience, or how did that whole process like work for you, and how are you adapting to that? Or
no, so the thing is, from Scoop Hoop, I'll just start with Scoop Hoop. The thing is, my entire sense of being, I think, was very different back then. I just graduated from college. In fact, after college, before Scoop Hoop, I went to New York for an internship with this startup called Diamond Direct Foods. It was a food and beverage startup. Nice. They were basically working in collaboration with this Michelin star chef named Klaus Meyer, who ran, I think, what was rated the best restaurant in the world for 4 years, in 2010, 2011, 2013, and 2014. I don't know what happened in 2015, but basically they were
the gap,
this restaurant's name is Noma. I don't know if it still exists, but basically they wanted to work in collaboration with Klaus to bring, he specialized in Nordic cuisine. Nice. So they wanted to bring Nordic cuisine to Grand Central Station in the form of quick service restaurant formats. So like food court formats. So working with them was actually very cool, because I met this gentleman who, if you meet someone of like that level, that stature, that level of brilliance, it's always amazing. But then after that, like I was there for a year. It was amazing. It was being in New York was awesome. Then when I came back, I was all about social media, and I was all about like online publications like BuzzFeed, and I think BuzzFeed was the main thing back then. And then Scoop Whoop happened to be like the Indian contingent for BuzzFeed in India, like an exact ripoff, to be fair, to be exact.
What year is this?
This is the year 20. I came back to India in 2016.
Okay.
So this is still kind of.
Yeah. So this was in 2016. I was very into like scripted video formats. I was into entertainment. I was online entertainment.
Nice.
And as I said, I was into all this social media stuff. So I wanted to join Scoop Whoop. I wrote scripts. I did script writing for them. I directed
Wow.
videos for them. I acted in some videos for them, which are very cringe now. So don't look at them.
You got to send them
ever.
across. We got to watch those.
A lot of
They're all on YouTube. They're all on
content is
YouTube.
like that.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So
Link below.
yeah. So that was what I wanted at the time. But then I don't know what happened. I suddenly became completely averse to social media. I was like, man, this is it's not great, and this is not what I want to do. Maybe I was growing up. Maybe my interests changed. But then I knew that I liked content. So in fact, I wanted to get into advertising. And it's actually really, I won't mention the name, but there was this boutique advertising agency, a family friend of ours. And I went for this interview, and I, did they told me to do some copywriting, and the guy loved my work. He was like, man, you're a natural, dude. You're so cool. But then his company went bankrupt 3 weeks later. That was when they were, and they were going to hire me. So the guy said, I'm so sorry. We had to, whatever. So I was heartbroken by that. I was like, man, I wanted to get into advertising, and then this happened. Maybe it wasn't meant to be. And then I joined Zomato because they were starting this editorial division. They were starting this section called Zomato Sneak Peek, which basically consisted of a team of writers that would go to different restaurants, meet those restaurant owners or the chef or whoever the face of the brand was, and to basically like interview them, try their food, and like learn the day-to-day operations of those establishments as well, and basically do a small write-up and a video of that restaurant. So there was this like a set section on Zomato which had this.
Does that exist?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yes. Yes. It's funny because I didn't know I wanted to get into hospitality completely until I did this, because meeting those restaurant owners, understanding their business, very surface level. It was very surface level knowledge, but meeting different people made me eventually then want to get into Lite Bite Foods. When I eventually got into Lite Bite Foods, I feel the biggest challenge is, if you don't really have any knowledge or formal training in a certain field, then everything you're learning is through practical experience.
Yeah.
Which is exciting as well. But I would say that there's a huge difference in the way I was when I first joined, even though it's been 2 years. I'm not going to say I know everything.
Yeah.
But there's definitely a mammoth difference in when I first joined Lite Bite and now. And I think the most growth in my career personally has been in the last year, COVID year.
Nice.
Yeah. More responsibility was given to me. We had to actually be proactive to get business, and not saying that we weren't proactive before, but had to be more so because of COVID, had to change everything, had to focus on delivery, had to, just a whole bunch of things. So, yeah.
That's interesting that you mentioned that the practical experience is always great, but you were learning on somebody else's dime in Zomato, in Scoop Whoop, and the previous organization that you worked at. And but none of that could have really prepared you for what happened when COVID hit, right? Like you're saying, it was your interest in marketing and in content, in building brand awareness that allowed you to kind of create this experience that you guys did with this DIY kit. So I want to get into that a little bit more, right? And as you said, this last year has been the biggest learning, I'm sure, for you, but as well as the rest of the organization as well.
Yes.
Nobody, no management, no CEO, nobody was prepared for a situation like this. Armaan, if we look at where your organization was a year ago compared to today, what can you guys say is now your competitive advantage?
Our competitive advantage now, I would say, and the thing is what it has been even prior to COVID, is that, and this might sound like I'm reading it out of like a business studies book, but the thing is the culture of our organization is very intact. The mindset of everybody. The people in our organization, especially at a corporate level and people who are managing different brands, the way, and this is all, it's team effort, but I think a lot to do with my father as well, Armaan Aggarwal. He has managed to create this very honest culture in our organization, and a very passionate one as well. It sounds very textbook what I'm saying, but it is very true. Like
it's textbook, but it's probably one of the hardest things to actually implement in an organization.
Exactly, and it's something that like I'm in awe of every day, because everyone at the very beginning, like when COVID hit, people were being laid off in all over the world. I'm not talking about our organization specifically.
Right.
And there were salary cuts and there were things like that. But everyone took it in their stride, and everybody understood the situation, and they just wanted to work harder and harder so that we could eventually start turning a profit again. Because for 3 months when COVID happened, we weren't even close to turning a profit or even breaking even.
Wow. That's brutal.
So, yeah, and so that actually took us back a few years, because we in fact were we eventually looking to file for an IPO and like all these other big plans, but like so it definitely put us back a few years. But I think the culture of our organization has been a major competitive advantage for us. And also just see, no food and beverage person is going to tell you they're not using the freshest ingredients, or they're not doing these they're not seeking for like optimum quality in terms of their product.
Sure.
Everyone's going to say that, but the thing is, I feel like we actually strive to achieve that. No shade to anybody else. A lot of people are doing it, but like we do that day in and day out, and that is something that we've seen has built our business, and I mean, over this entire period.
Yeah. What do you see as like the growth opportunities given what's happened with COVID and now, because things are opening up slowly, maybe not here, but overall in the world. So like, how do you see that changing for your F&B landscape or YouMee?
See what changing? That now that things are opening up?
Just like the F&B landscape, the food industry, the restaurant industry, YouMee as a whole, and like as a delivery service, or if not, when malls open back up. So just like the growth opportunities with that.
So the thing is, we sorry, this is something I forgot to mention. When COVID did strike us the first time, then we shifted our strategy to opening cloud kitchens. A cloud kitchen format is basically, in layman, it's basically, like renting out a space. It could be anywhere between 300 to 1,000, or however many square feet you'd like it to be.
Yeah.
And you can operate 7 to 8 brands out of that kitchen solely for delivery.
Nice.
So that is something that we wanted to focus on. We've in fact opened 5 cloud kitchens now. 3 of them are in Delhi and 2 of them are in Mumbai. And it took us a little bit of time to get the ground running for our cloud kitchens, because when it comes to a kitchen, while yes, it has the Punjab Grill brand, it has the YouMee brand, and it has a bunch of other brands that we have as well. There's no physical store, like a person can't associate like the restaurant's interiors. They've not been there, they've not experienced it. Yeah, like they haven't like connected with that particular outlet. So to build trust and to build sales for a cloud kitchen is something we've learned over the last year as well. And in fact, our cloud kitchens now are doing pretty well. You have to work in collaboration with Zomato and Swiggy, the food aggregators. You have to make sure that your outlet or your restaurant or your brand is visible on those platforms. The only way that happens is a bunch of specific things that you have to make sure you're doing from your end. One is called KPT, which is kitchen preparation time. If your restaurant's kitchen preparation time is, if it's a long duration of time, it ideally should be 15 to 20 minutes. If it's above that, your restaurant automatically starts getting listed and less and less, and it becomes less and less visible on these platforms.
Wow. So these KPTs are given by the platforms?
Yeah, the KPT, like an ideal KPT is given. And the thing is, depending on, I guess, what cuisine you're doing, and depending, like, see, there's quick service formats, which is like McDonald's and Domino's. Those churn out dishes very fast. And I don't even know if those things are cooked. I think it's just there and they heat it and then they just send it.
Just heat it up.
For something like YouMee, where you have sushi and where you have ramen, more intricately made dishes. It takes a little more time, but we have to, like, basically every month we noted every single order that was coming and what the actual KPT of those orders were. So at the beginning of COVID, we realized our KPT is very high, which is why our delivery is so low. So every month we aimed to reduce our KPT by a minute.
Wow.
1 minute. So it was like a standardized way to see where we are losing time, maybe removing certain menu items because they were taking too much time. So menu re-engineering, all these things. So KPT is a very big factor. Aside from that is when an order actually comes, there's something called MFR, which is marked food ready. Order acceptance. You have to accept your order within like 5 seconds or 10 seconds.
Yeah.
And what is, just for people, everybody has been the consumer on Zomato, but on your side, when an order gets placed, is it the person at the cloud kitchen who's accepting it? What is that process like?
Yeah, so basically there's a gentleman who's in front of a desktop. The Zomato tab is open, the Swiggy tab is open.
Wow.
In fact, we've integrated all this with LimeTray. I'm sure you've heard of LimeTray. They
Sure.
basically make websites for, they have a dashboard which Zomato and Swiggy is now integrated with. So it's a lot simpler. So there's a guy in front of a desktop. As soon as an order comes, there's a bell that rings. He has to accept it within 5 to 10 seconds. Then that order is printed and stuck in the kitchen. The kitchen will probably be behind him over here. And then we have different sections allotted for different brands. And sometimes, like for example, we have Street Foods by Punjab Grill, which is our quick service Indian brand. And we have Punjab Grill, which is our casual dining restaurant brand. But because some of the menu items will be similar, there's like a allotted space to make those same items for these brands. So the order is taken, the allotted section is basically assigned to make the order. As soon as the order is ready, then we mark the food ready on the platform. Then accordingly, the rider comes. And then when the rider comes, then we take his temperature, we write that on the delivery bag, and we just send it out. Basically, that's it.
Wow. So, I mean, it sounds like a lot has happened for you guys, right? Like, one is the whole digital marketing angle, and I do want to get into how you leverage Google ads, Facebook ads, and your own organic social media content. You also said that you moved it in-house. The second thing is this operational efficiency that you've kind of had to imbibe into the organization, right? With QSR, with using LimeTray platforms and integrating it with all these food delivery outlet services. So the first thing I'd like to talk about is this digital marketing bit, right? You mentioned that you were working with an outsourced agency or a freelancer, and you moved everything in-house. One, how did you take that decision? What were the factors that contributed to making that decision? And the second thing is, what did you kind of decide when you were building your marketing plan and what you should prioritize and working on first? And yeah, just talk about that sort of process as well.
So if I have to be completely honest, the main reason that basically drove us to make that decision was cost cutting at the time.
Okay. Yeah.
We were like, we don't want to outsource this work to another agency right now. Things are tight. We're trying to get in as much money as possible, spend as little as possible. So we thought we would internalize all those processes. We learned how to, we got a very basic knowledge of how to use something called ad manager, which basically allows you to run ads on Facebook and Instagram. Like you can take a creative, you can write a caption, you can choose your audience, you can choose their preferences, their interests, the age group, the areas you want to target. So we actually did like a tutorial on how to use this tool. Then we just started running a lot of Instagram ads and Facebook ads for all our different brands. And the thing is, we still right now know it at a very surface level, because making an ad is relatively simple. Putting all these different things about your customer preferences and your location, on the geographical location, all those things.
Right.
It's a very surface level way to do it. And there was definitely some benefit to it. People saw our brand more. They saw that we were available for delivery. They were ordering from us directly off Instagram and all as well. That was happening a lot. But the one thing that we were not doing is basically analyzing the data and analyzing these conversions that were happening. Okay. Because we didn't have the expertise in the same. And in fact, it was probably the other agency that was doing this for us. So now we have figured that, and now that things have gotten better as well, we're in fact going to outsource this work once again to another agency, because there's a lot of different intricacies involved with this. So when it comes to creative power, when it comes to the message we want to get out, that's obviously all going to be handled by us. But when it comes to how frequently this ad can show to a customer that we want to target, what type of customer specifically we want to target, which stream we want to target them through, whether it's Facebook, whether it's WhatsApp, whether it's Instagram, whether it's an SMS, because different people consume content differently and receive ads to different streams. So we're going to get more into detail with this outsourced company now that we're going to work with.
Right. And in the beginning, I mean, so just for most people, right, like Armaan mentioned that they use Ads Manager, and Ads Manager is basically Facebook's way of advertising on any of their platforms. So there's three kind of main components that make up an ad. Like Armaan mentioned, there's the actual creative where you write your copy, your graphic, your offer letter. The second thing is the targeting. So who it is you're targeting, where they are, what they eat, where they sleep, as detailed as you can get, as specific as you want to be. And then the third is the actual conversion of that ad. So you can either get them to like your page, you can get them to buy a product, you can get them to, there's a lot of different options depending on what conversions you're set. So Armaan, what was like the conversion that you guys were looking at? Was it directly to Zomato? Were you sending people to like an order online page, your Lime Trade page maybe? What were you guys?
So for YouMee, Punjab Grill, and we have this brand called Tres, which is European, it's European food. We had a Lime Trade website for these brands. Okay. So when it came to advertising for these brands and making Instagram posts and Facebook posts, it was directly taking the customer from that post to the website, like to the direct delivery. Our goal was to get more orders directly, because see, everyone is dependent on Zomato and Swiggy, and most customers go on Zomato and Swiggy to order, and it's great. Like what they've done, they've created a network. It's very easy to use their app, all that stuff.
Sure.
But the thing is, for a restaurant, and for most restaurants, is that the commissions and certain other costs can accumulate, and it basically affects your bottom line. Your profitability becomes lower when it comes to doing most of your orders through Zomato and Swiggy. Sure. So one of our main aims was to direct people to our direct delivery platform, so that we would get more profitability on those orders. So for YouMee Punjab, as I said, directing to our Lime Tray website at the time. And for street foods, we have a brand called E07. We have the Artful Baker. This was all directed to Zomato and Swiggy, like the links were Zomato and Swiggy links. The conversion was decent. I think even for this activity, because as I said, we weren't experts, we didn't analyze the data, but we were getting a lot more inquiries. We were getting DMs on our brand pages. We were getting more interest. It did lead to an increase in orders, whether it was directly or whether it was through Zomato and Swiggy. So there was definitely some conversion. It definitely helped.
So I think, and this is something that when I'm working with businesses, e-commerce, or even retail businesses, it's the same thing. Ads don't get you sales. It's the combination of your social media presence, your content, your brand imagery, in line with advertising that to potential customers.
Precisely.
Actual sales, right? So Armaan, the second thing I wanted to talk about is this kind of reliance that businesses or F&B restaurants have on Zomato and Swiggy. It's the same thing, right? In e-commerce,
topic, yeah.
It's a touchy topic, but I think it's something for people to understand what the benefits are and drawbacks. So with e-commerce, you are heavily reliant on Amazon, Myntra, Flipkart, etc., right? The problem is the same thing. They take anywhere from 30 to 40% commission, and then it could even be higher depending on if you're using their affiliate services, if you're using their fulfillment services, etc. And I think a lot of people have realized that if you're too reliant on them, that may not be good. Having your own sort of presence or ability to kind of directly engage with the customer on the conversion point is really important. Is that something that you guys kind of actively pursue? I know you mentioned it for a few of your outlets or a few of your brands, that's something that you'd rather have customers engage with you directly. Is there a point where you get to where you kind of say, okay, we cannot use these platforms anymore? Or is it something where, it's like a necessary evil kind of thing that you always have to have in the background to keep it going?
So that's actually a very good question. And it's basically, it's a mix of both. Our thoughts last year, I think, were the strongest in relation to this topic. In fact, I don't know if you know, but like a lot of very prominent food and beverage heads and brand owners, they basically came together and they were striking against Zomato and Swiggy. They said your commissions are way too high. You're also deep discounting our product too much. We're ultimately not getting anything, or we're actually making a loss on from selling on your platforms. So that made Zomato kind of backtrack a bit. They realized, okay, fine, discounting is great. It is a way to entice a customer to order, but doing a 50% discount on an order, plus the commission that has to be paid to Zomato, plus a bunch of other hidden charges, it ultimately doesn't make sense.
Right.
We especially felt bad for small business owners because they have to be heavily reliant on Zomato and Swiggy, especially if they're starting out.
Sure.
We luckily, we've been in the industry for over a decade. We have the resources. So in fact, our commission is we negotiated a pretty decent commission. We want to negotiate with them further. They're not going to be very happy about that. But we have negotiated a very reduced commission with them, which definitely helps us in terms of profitability.
So that's possible. Like you can talk to them once you've established yourself and say, listen, let's do some deals here.
Let's do some deals here. Let this make sense, because at the end of the day, you are giving us a platform to showcase our brand and to give us more visibility. But at the same time, that ultimately will not work for us if we're not getting any profitability out of it. So we have to meet in the middle somewhere. So I think everyone was very angry with food aggregators last year, especially. But to answer your question further, we are pursuing every day to increase our direct deliveries. And we have. I'd say about 25% of the total orders that go out from our restaurants are through direct deliveries, whether it's someone calling our manager or just WhatsApping us. We have a platform that we are integrated with called .pay now, which is basically a chatbot. Customer messages the number, chatbot responds, gives them a link. They click on the link. They choose whatever they want to. The link picks up their geographical location. So it'll tell them the nearest restaurant to them for that particular brand. And then they choose whatever they want to, and then they can pay via Google Pay or Paytm or debit card, credit card, whatever. Nice. So this was also done as a move to shift from Zomato and Swiggy a little bit. But yes, there still is a very heavy reliance on these platforms for us. But yeah, we work every day to kind of be less dependent on them.
And it sounds like there's options. Like it's not an ideal situation, right? You're either paying Facebook or Google, or you're reliant on Zomato. It's not like either one of them are any better, but there are in-between situations where things can eventually get more direct.
Reliance can slowly fizzle out with the different avenues that you've mentioned. So it's possible.
See, the thing is, I honestly, and I mean, I hate to say it, but I think the reliance will be there. Solely because firstly, these guys have accumulated so much data and they don't share that data, by the way. They don't share,
job, right? Like they have billions of dollars to make these platforms so that me and you sit at home and order food all day long. Like they're built for that. That is their business model. So
and even though they're not really making any money, in fact, they're churning out a heavy duty net loss every fiscal year. They have built not only a consumer reliance on them, but a reliance of businesses as well. to be
On the
listed
supply
on that
side.
platform.
Right.
So see, you have to give a few things to them. Their user interface it's very easy.
Yeah.
It's pretty seamless. It's a good platform to use. But yes, from a restaurant's perspective, there's a certain back and forth that always happens, and yeah, that's pretty much it.
Awesome. Nice. Interesting. I mean, yeah, I mean, it's crazy, right? Like the more we move towards, I guess, like globalization and more people being accustomed to using apps in all different age brackets, income brackets, it doesn't really matter. Everybody has an app that could potentially benefit them in some way, where they're able to buy something or sell something. And I think what's really interesting, and especially what's happening in India right now with like social commerce blowing up, is that the seller side is becoming even easier for people. They're finding it easier to sell stuff online. And yeah, I think big or small, I think anybody can benefit from doing this. So
see, I think for most restaurants and for most players, and for any restaurant player who wants to enter the space, especially now, you have to be very tech savvy.
Yeah,
you have to be extremely tech savvy. There are other platforms like DotPay, as I mentioned, that we're working in tandem with. There's another platform called Thrive, which is similar to DotPay, but it has a few additional features where we're thinking of getting them on board as well. Where basically you can pre-order a meal, like maybe 3 days in advance. Like you can be like, okay, on Saturday at 4 p.m., I think I'm going to be in the mood for some chicken dumplings. So you just place the order then, and then it goes to the restaurant, and then the restaurant will deliver it to you 3 days later. So it's a very, it's a good feature. You have to be. There's certain brands, like for example, Big Chill. Big Chill is a brand that's been there for like 20, 30 years. There's like a legacy attached to that restaurant. People get like this nostalgic feeling almost when they eat over there, and the food
in the name, honestly, right? Like I think the name, you say Big Chill to somebody, they know what they already have a favorite dish.
And they've built that brand, over many years. And the thing is, there was no concept like it when it first came into the market in Delhi specifically. So Big Chill had first mover advantage, and it's actually very. It's actually a cool case study to like observe, because the thing is, they had first mover advantage. Their product obviously was consistent, and over years they built this amazing brand image where like people fell in love with the establishment and the place. So there's like a legacy associated with that. Even like a Kareem's or like these brands which have been there for decades, they don't necessarily need to be tech savvy, but I think if they are, it will further enhance their business for sure.
Yep.
But players who are entering now, like no one is like really reinventing the wheel as such. There's so many restaurants which are very similar in nature, and there's a new restaurant, like new restaurants or new kitchens open up every day. You have to do something which different. Yeah, you have to. There has to be some distinguishing factor, whether even if it isn't from a cuisine standpoint or a menu standpoint, from an operational standpoint, from a efficiency standpoint, in terms of your delivery, the whole delivery experience for the customer, ease of use, that, like those are the distinguishing factors, I feel.
I think and a great example that I think we all probably have heard of is with Shake Shack. I mean, it was a burger, right? And what was the differentiation is there? I know this food. Their distinguishing factor was, I mean, talk about Shake Shack and like what made them special.
So Shake Shack, what made Shake Shack special? Firstly, the main thing, because at the end of the day, the main thing is always the product that you're eventually giving out to customers.
Sure.
Their product is not a subpar product. They're not advertising as we're making this really cheap burger and we're selling it to you. Like, this is an affordable burger that you can eat.
Yeah, it's not cheap.
The pricing is more premium because the ingredients that they're using are more premium. So they're
Shake Shack QSR, or where does Shake Shack?
Shake Shack, I would not say is a QSR. Shake Shack is a fast casual chain.
Got you.
Yeah, fast casual chain. And the thing is, some of them have dine-in as well. So fast casual dine-in. Using very premium products. Using very premium ingredients to make good quality products. And they're not necessarily, the thing is when a brand is, and there's different, each brand has its purpose, but when a brand, for example, like Domino's or a McDonald's, its main USP is that it's affordable.
Yeah.
It's an affordable thing. They're not telling you that this is the best quality pizza you're going to have. This is the best quality, like this Makalu Tikki is the best quality burger you're ever going to have. But they're telling you from an affordability standpoint, from an efficiency standpoint, you're going to get your food fast and you're not going to have to spend a lot of money to get it.
Right. Like Domino's and McDonald's aren't in the food business, they're in the real estate delivery business, I think, right?
Yes.
The operational business.
Yeah. Yes. And those are QSRs, like those are quick service formats.
Gotcha.
Shake Shack always started as a burger brand that wanted to be a good quality burger.
Yeah.
And you have to pay a certain price for it. Yes, it's not exponentially expensive, but yes, I mean, you can't afford to, like a lot of people in the middle class in the United States, I'm pretty sure they can't afford to have a Shake Shack burger every single day, So it's more premium in terms of the quality and the pricing. And so I actually really respect that because they weren't trying to cater to everybody. They wanted to kind of cater to a niche clientele that would be willing to pay more for a good quality burger. But then because the burger was so good and they were so consistent with their product and, even the branding, everything is great.
Yeah.
Eventually those first time consumers, those first movers start telling other people about it and other people came. And then I think that created this whole network, and which is why Shake Shack is so big today. It was genuine, good word of mouth. So and people just loving the product. Yeah.
What I remember and know of Shake Shack is, the first one is in Madison Square Park in New York. So when I was younger, standing in line and the line would be around the park and people would wait in there for hours just to get a burger and the fries.
Yeah.
And then it grew and then it became, what it is now. But I still feel like that is the best, even now that one park location has such long lines, even though I think there's a Shack 5 blocks down that doesn't have.
And that's the first one I went to as well when I tried the first time.
One, I think.
And the thing is, it's a spectacle, right? When you see a huge line starting from a place and going around, you're just like, what is this? I have to try this.
In New York City, when there's so many other options, everyone's probably like, okay, what is this? It has to be something.
Which is a testament to how good their product is as well. It's not like they're just selling your average burger like that. I still dream about their burgers. They have amazing burgers there.
And their fries. Oh my God, now I want.
Yeah, the crinkle cut fries. Yeah.
So, Armaan, when is the Shake Shack of India gonna happen? I mean, is this something that's possible? Can we have a brand that gets that big and creates that much impact? I mean, there's enough good food here.
Even that's a good question, man. So right now, I think from an operational efficiency standpoint and from a product standpoint, I don't think there's anything. There is a brand called Barbecue Nation, but that's a different format as well. They're doing very well and they've expanded.
They're going public, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, they're going public as well. They're very transparent about what they are. You go over there, you have a pretty affordable meal. It's a tasty meal. It's not very it's not nutritionally great, but I mean it tastes good. See, the thing with India is because each part of our country has such exponentially different tastes. In terms like North India, everyone's obsessed with dal makhani and butter chicken and these kind of things, and that sells a lot in North India particularly. Yes, these things do sell in the South and all as well, but of course the main catchment for this is in North
predominantly
India. South India, you then go into more coconut induced flavors, coconut curries, and it's I wouldn't say light because coconut isn't light, but it's not as spicy and not as rich as North Indian cuisine.
Mm-hmm.
Then you have coastal cuisine, which is like very seafood intensive and that has a bunch of different things. I'm not very sure about Northeastern cuisine, but I know there's like different things there as well.
Yeah.
For a brand to appeal to everybody pan India, I mean, there should be like, yeah, I mean, there ideally should be like a whether it's a burger chain or whether it's a pizza chain. Like I'm not sure like what, but I there definitely can be, but someone has to crack trying to appeal to everybody in the country, or maybe the brand can adapt itself based on what region it's in. That's what McDonald's does. McDonald's in Italy is different from McDonald's in India. So I mean, there's scope for sure.
Probably the best thing that I can think of, which is all over India, is probably Haldiram's, right? Like they just have this effect of efficiency and quality of
and
food.
And their retail, like they retail all their products as well. So they've gotten food retail down pat. They're very, very good what they do.
Yeah.
Haldiram's is amazing in that department. Yeah. It's completely vegetarian, which is a big plus for a lot of brands in India, I'd say. I think if you're a purely vegetarian brand, and India is the most vegetarian country like in the world, that is definitely a huge plus point for certain brands. We don't have like a dedicated vegetarian restaurant, even though I mean I have said it to our board that maybe let's start like a vegetarian concept or a vegan concept, and they were like, no, let's sell butter chicken for now. We'll see.
What is the split for you guys? I mean, I'm sure your food is mostly like higher percentage of it has like some meat or something, but do you still get a lot of vegetarian orders and stuff like that?
Oh, definitely. We get a lot of vegetarian orders. Punjab Grill, which is our flagship brand, obviously you have the butter chicken, dal makhani and all, but then you do get there is a very high percentage of vegetarian consumers who order like our veg kebabs and our veg tikkas, and the Indian diet in general, like I'd say a lot. I mean, more than 50% of our population, I think, is fully vegetarian.
I'm sure most of us for lunch eat like some form of vegetarian food, right? Like nobody's like pounding kadai chicken for lunch every day, right?
I mean, I'm a bit of a weirdo that maybe I might do that sometimes, but like, but like, yes, predominantly have a vegetarian lunch with like dal and like, dal chawals kind of lunch.
Nice. Now you want to eat.
But that's honestly one of the things with this job as well. The thing is, you're always exposed to food, and you're exposed to food tastings, and you always want to make sure the consistency in your product is.
Are you desensitized to good food now? Like, for talking about it at least.
And like today, for example, this is literally when I was speaking to my father in the morning, his business partner and co-founder of the company, Amit Burman, who's now the chairman of Dabur Foods, he basically is in London right now, and he tried this methi butter chicken in some restaurant in London, which I've never heard of, and he said, you know what? He told our brand head for Punjab, his name is Deepak Bhatia, he said, I want you to make Rohit Aggarwal try the methi butter chicken today. And he kept following up and saying, I want you to. So our chef, our chef very excitedly has made this methi butter chicken. And some another outlet of ours said, we want to do this new biryani. So they're sending a mutton biryani. This other outlet of ours is sending what's it called? The halim. So basically I'm having, as you, I mean, like you're saying kadai chicken for lunch. I think I'm going to be having a mutton biryani, halim and butter chicken for lunch.
And you'll be in food coma the rest of the week.
Yeah, I don't think so I'm glad we did this before lunch. Yeah. So like, I wouldn't have been able to.
So you guys are always running like mini experiments, trying new things out just for your own sort of interest and.
No, that's why I also have to like, I've included intermittent fasting as a part of like my regular day to day, because I think that's one way to like curtail this.
And then all the treks.
So I'm not as passionate about trekking as your mother is, Sanjana, but I do like it. It is something I like, and dude, like now I definitely like want to go. But yeah, that's another topic.
Yeah. Oh man, now it's lunchtime. After all
Are
that.
there any other questions that you have, like about YouMee per se, and like maybe our cuisine, like in general, like what, anything else?
I mean, you touched upon a lot of it, but if you wanna mention something else, you
No, I mean, no, I'm just like so when it comes to YouMee, and actually I'm gonna talk about Pan Asian food in general. So originally, like China, like when Chinese food was first introduced in India, it was in the form of like a Yo China quick service kind of format, which is very Indo-Chinese food.
Yeah.
A lot of restaurant, I mean, and we've definitely like grown from that. You know, there's like Yum Yum Cha, there's YouMee, there's a bunch of other good Pan Asian brands. And there's definitely room for exploring it even further, because right now I feel like predominantly we're having Chinese food, Japanese sushi, and Thai food. These are like the three main variants of Pan Asian cuisine that Indian consumers have.
Yeah.
I'm excited to, like bring Korean food, for example. Like Korean food is definitely there, but in more traditional formats.
Are people like willing to Indian palate is willing to test out and experiment with food?
So
are you
that's
seeing
the
like
thing.
a change?
Definitely yes. To answer your question, yes. When sushi first came into Delhi, it came in 360, which was at the Oberoi Hotel. There was a chef at the time. His name was Chef Augusto. He made sushi, for lack of a better word, sexy in New Delhi. People didn't really know what it was. I mean, some well-traveled people, of course, they knew what it was and they were happy to have it.
Yeah.
But there were a lot of people who didn't really know it, and there's still a lot of people to this day who are not particularly
I think it's
comfortable with having raw fish.
Yeah.
Raw fish on
it's
vinegar
cold.
rice. Yeah, exactly.
Also
But
the
he made it appealing, and he positioned it in such a way that first you're at the Oberoi Hotel, beautiful hotel. You have this fabulous restaurant, and he made it cool.
Yeah.
So I think when you attach a person's own personal and social agenda to food, you can make it more appealing automatically. So I think that's happened with sushi, and that's it. Now sushi is very commonplace. And by the way, the sushi we eat in the city is not authentic sushi. It's very Americanized sushi. It has the mayo. It
California
has
rolls,
Philly
like
cheese.
in the name.
It has Philly cheese, which like Philly cheese and salmon, it literally came from Philadelphia. Yeah, I mean,
Chow mein is not something they eat in China. Chow mein is not a thing.
Yeah, they don't. They definitely
Indian
don't.
Chinese is like a class of its own, I think.
Yeah, and see, most of the Chinese food you'll eat in Delhi will be Indo-Chinese food. Even if it's a better variant of it, it is Indo-Chinese food ultimately, because it's trying to appeal to our palate. It's a little more spicy, or it'll be a little more rich. It'll have like, a bunch of things. Like I've never had authentic Chinese food. I can safely say that.
Yeah.
But I've been told that if I try it, I probably am not going to like it very much. But
yeah.
Let's see. But like, there's room for like Vietnamese cuisine. There's room for Korean cuisine. There's room for it's always going to keep growing, right? So, and I think people will be receptive. I think there's always the first movers who will want to try something out. And there'll be the well-traveled people who have maybe had this abroad, and then they'll be happy that it's here. And then eventually, if the brand is intact, if all the different things which make your brand wholesome are intact, and if you're consistent, then it'll have like a domino effect, and people will keep wanting to try, and they might then identify with it.
And so for you guys with YouMee specifically, is this something where you can have different Asian cuisines under YouMee? Would that have to be an extension into another brand? And what is the process that goes behind the scenes of deciding what the menu is actually like, and like what actually is delivered to customers and stuff?
So the cuisine for YouMee is Pan Asian. We're not like focused solely on either Japanese or Chinese or Thai or whatever. So you have to have some of the favorites which your average consumer can identify with, like your wok toss noodles and your honey chicken and your honey potato and things like that, which are popular and easy to make.
Right.
And which basically attract a large catchment of your audience.
Yeah.
Then comes, we have ramen bowls as well. I don't think there's many places in Delhi and in India that do ramen at the moment. But our ramen bowls, we've been told, are pretty good. So that was in an effort to basically, from Pan-Asian, to delve a little more into Japanese culture as well. Because even YouMee, the interiors of our restaurant, we have manga wallpaper. So and manga is basically like a form of Japanese comic book.
Yeah.
So we wanted to have Pan-Asian cuisine, but we wanted to delve deeper into Japanese manga culture and Japanese cuisine in terms of sushi and in terms of ramen and stuff like that. Now, in fact, it got a bit delayed because of the second wave of COVID, but we are opening a new YouMee. We're opening a new YouMee outlet in Gurgaon, in Ambience Mall. It'll be in the next few months. And we are going to be introducing Korean elements to the cuisine over there, like live barbecue grilling and things like that. So it's always like, we're always trying to like improve things and not even necessarily improve, but introduce new things. And if it works, then we move forward with it. If it doesn't, then we take it back.
Yeah.
And just for everyone's knowledge, like, what are all the brands under Lightbite? If it's possible for you to list them, or of course add them in the description. And
so Punjab Grill, YouMee, we have Threz, which is our restaurant in Lodi Colony. Threz was not a brand we started, but it was actually started by Chef Jatin and Chef Julia, and they ran for several years, and then they actually had to shut down. And then we were in talks with them. And we decided to basically take ownership of the brand, but they would run it completely with full liberty and independence. So now Threz is under the Lightbite Foods umbrella, but being run by these two brilliant chefs. Then we have two QSR formats, which is Street Foods by Punjab Grill and Asia 7 Express, which is prominent in a lot of malls. So if you go to like Mumbai, if you go to Phoenix, any of the Phoenix malls in Mumbai, in Pune, in Bangalore, you'll see in the food court, you'll see these two brands present over there. Then we have The Artful Baker, which is our bakery in Khan Market, where we sell breads and cakes and things like that. And we have a brand called Han's Kitchen, which is a Korean brand that we run in One Horizon Center in Gurgaon.
Sure.
Last year, in fact, when this whole COVID thing started, we started running the food and beverage operations for Delhi Golf Club. So everything that all the stuff that you get at Delhi Golf Club, everything that you get in the confectionery, the food in the dining hall, everything over there is being run and operated by us. And in fact, a few days ago, we started food delivery of Delhi Golf Club food for the members of Delhi Golf Club. And that's actually had a very positive response. Yeah. So a person just submits their member ID number, their name, their WhatsApp, their order to us. And we've just been churning out like 400, 500 deliveries every day from Delhi Golf Club, actually. So that's been really good. And we were running airports as well. Yeah, we were running food and beverage operations in T2 Bombay, in T1 in the domestic terminal in New Delhi. But then because of COVID, we actually had to shut that down, and that was a big hit for everyone.
So a lot of different brands under the Lightbite umbrella. There was one more thing I wanted to ask, but I'm blank.
You were just going to say it too.
It was a good question also.
Is it food and beverage related? Is it like
talking about the different restaurants you have?
Han's Kitchen.
Yeah, One Horizon. I don't know what other keywords you've said.
Was it based on something I said?
Oh yes, it was. No, it wasn't. No, it wasn't.
Okay.
So Armaan, I saw I think on your Instagram or maybe YouMe's Instagram that you guys are also handing out food to underprivileged people and stuff like that. So just, I mean, I want to know a little bit about that, how that whole initiative started, and just tell us a little bit about it.
Okay, so over the last few weeks, we when things were very critical, things have gotten a little better now, touch wood. But when things were very critical, there were a lot of people just waiting outside hospitals, whether it was their family member in the hospital over like getting treatment, or whether they were just waiting to get a bed in the hospital or whatever it was. But basically, we felt the need to contribute in some way because things were so dire and things were really bleak just a few weeks ago. So we decided we have the facilities, we have a commissary in our head office in Gurgaon, in Udyog Vihar in Gurgaon. So we were like, listen, we're anyway making food and we're like, this is a fully operational outfit right now. Let's try and help people as best we can. So we first approached people who were close family friends of ours and people who we trusted and people who we knew would want to maybe perhaps donate to this cause. And we said that, listen, irregardless of whatever donations we receive, we want to make these very affordable packaged meals and we want to just distribute it to people outside hospitals specifically at that time. So we started this initiative and we made all our food in our commissary. We packaged everything early every morning. It went out in a van, and we would in different vans, and we would go to different hospitals and different locations and set up our table over there with a board and just lay all the food out and distribute it person by person. What was very encouraging was that people did want to donate and people trusted us, and people said, they felt that we would actually do justice to this cause. So they donated, and our close family, friends of friends, they all donated. And then eventually we started this keto fundraiser, which basically even, you could just send a link and anyone can donate to it. So people have been donating to that as well. And every day without fail, we've been distributing anywhere between 1,400 and 1,500 meals.
Wow.
And we've started this in Mumbai as well. In Mumbai, it's happening at a smaller scale, but we're going to certain pockets of Mumbai and distributing food as well, like maybe like 250, 300 meals. It's just started off as that, it'll build up gradually. So yeah, man, it felt like the only human thing to do, honestly, because I think it's safe to say that there was a feeling of languishing, like a couple of weeks ago. It was everything you were exposed to on social media, people asking for hospital beds, ventilators, this medicine and that medicine. It definitely made me feel very depressed. I mean, I don't want to undermine what depression feels like, but I was languishing. I was feeling very low for sure. So this definitely, when you help someone, and especially like during such a critical time, it felt good, honestly, and it feels good that, I mean, we're still doing it, so it's great.
That's incredible.
Yeah, that's amazing. And the keto link that you have is still open and still live?
Yeah, it's open. Open. And we're planning to do this for at least another month or two, and we raise a lot of funds even prior to the keto link, so that is funding us nicely. And the keto thing is also going on side by side.
So we'll definitely, put the link in the description and make sure that more people are able to donate.
Thanks, man.
Amazing. So Armaan, I think that kind of wraps up our podcast. I think Sanjana's super hungry and wants to go eat something. We're going to be ordering some YouMee.
I'm pretty hungry now. I'm definitely hungry.
We're all hungry. Don't put on me.
I'm going to have some methi butter chicken and mutton biryani right now.
Armaan's listed all this delicious food, and then I'm supposed to sit here and be like, okay.
No, and imagine for me, I'm completely fasted right now. I'm like, that's the thing. I don't eat breakfast. Like, I'm intermittent fasting, so you intermittent fasting?
I mean, I guess it's called that.
She forgot to eat.
No, I anyway don't feel hungry till like 12:30, and we eat at 1. So.
Do you have tea though? Like, do you have tea or coffee?
Yeah, I have my tea.
Okay, so then you're like technically intermittent fasting, but it's like got it.
Intermittent fasting.
Oh, you don't drink anything like
intermittent
water-
fasting is 0 calorie intake before your first meal.
Oh,
Zero.
I only had tea, but yeah.
So only water, or like green tea or black coffee would be considered intermittent fasting, technically.
That is intense. I'm not about that life.
No, so honestly, this happened because at the beginning of COVID, I was waking up a bit late, and I was skipping breakfast unintentionally, and then I was like, "Whoa, man! Like I'm leaning out a bit. This is working out for me. I like this."
Nice.
And then it just became a lifestyle. So yeah, it feels good. I know it sounds crazy, and this is off topic completely, obviously, but it sounds crazy. But like when you're hungry and when you get used to being hungry, it fuels you.
That's so true. That is, it's like you're like, I need to not think about eating, so let me do more work.
and think about it from like even the time when cavemen existed. They didn't eat 3 meals a day, or 4 meals a day. Like they was hunting for their food and gathering their food, and then they would eat a really good meal, and then maybe they wouldn't eat for 2-3 days.
Yeah.
So technically, genetically, I think we have the makeup of not eating for prolonged periods of time. It's just that we like eating and it's a social activity. Not even social. I love being antisocial and just watching stuff and eating. Yeah, bro, it's once you started, then like it's a bit of an inconvenience in the beginning, but then it just you become used to it again.
Yeah.
Oh, that's true. Yeah. But now I think it's time. After all that.
Cool. I think we're good to wrap up.
Yeah, man. Thank you. This was actually fun. I hope I answered your questions.
Yeah.